to the oubliette. Today we're going to be performing a quick and dirty paint scheme for some Necron warriors to have them looking good on the tabletop and ready in no time. I wanted to provide this video as a starting point for anyone who's a beginner like myself to learn and practice some easy to follow techniques which will help improve your painting and brush control. Let's get started. Here we have your standard Necron warrior primed in black. You can use a spray can, brush on, or airbrush if you have one, but the result will all be the same. Now, a few things you may need are a holder for the model. This can be something as simple as a cork or paint pot with sticky tack, or this Citadel one. A paint palette, a cup of water, and a paper towel. Some of the brushes I'll be using are this Citadel Starter Brush, but any brush with a good tip will do. A Drybrush, in this case one from Army Painter. If you don't have one of these, a flat bristle brush will work just fine. Or you can use even a makeup brush. Next, you'll need a brush that you may have ruined or even are willing to ruin, as you can clearly see that I've done to this one here. And then also a brush that is a little bit thicker, something that can hold a lot for our wash stage. And as you can see, this one is pretty well used. All right, so some of the paints you'll need are Leadbelcher, or any silver paint will do. Typhus Corrosion, technical paint that'll dirty up our warriors. Some washes. You can use either a brown or a black wash. I'll be using both. A black paint. In this case, I'm using black Templar contrast. Some white paint. Any kind of white paint will do. It doesn't necessarily have to be Citadel. And then Tesseract Glow, our glowing green paint. Let's grab our silver paint and give it a good shake, and then put a couple drops in the palette. Okay, let's grab our dry brush, and we're going to dip it slightly into the silver paint. Then we're going to start rotating and wiping it off on the paper towel. What we're going to be doing is called an overbrush, so you don't need to worry about taking lots of paint off. Just about the amount that you see me taking off here will be fine. Starting from the top, begin working your way around the whole model, reaching it into any nooks and crannies that you can find. Feel free to move the model around and to find the right angles to apply it in a way that works best for you. What this overbrush will do is give you a nice coat of silver over the whole warrior's body, but leave black shadows in the deepest parts of the model, giving it some instant shading. If you find that not a lot of silver is leaving your brush, dip it in some more silver and continue until the whole model is covered, including the weapon. Next, what we're going to do is grab some of that Typhus Corrosion. Now this is an optional step, but what it will do is give your model a great weathered and grimy look. Using your ruined or soon to be ruined brush, dip it into the paint and start to stab or stipple it in random places on your model. I like to put more on some and less on others to give each their own level of variety. Always when using technical paints like Typhus Corrosion, it's good to remember that less is more. It's easy to start out with a little bit and add as you go, but once you add a lot, it's hard to go back from there. You'll notice that once this Typhus Corrosion dries, it's going to be very stark against the silver that we just applied. But keep in mind, once we put our wash in, it's going to blend the two colors together and look fantastic. Once that Typhus Corrosion is dry, it's time to move to the wash stage. Now, you can decide if you want to use one or the other, or both in my case. I'm going to be doing about equal parts of each this video, but I encourage you to experiment and find what you like best. Give them a good shake and mix them together on your palette. Once our wash is all mixed up, go ahead and grab your large brush and load up a generous amount and begin to cover up the whole model with this stuff. The best practice is to remember to keep working the wash around and move it into any recesses. If you notice there is too much pooling anywhere, give your brush a quick rinse, dry it, and you can wipe away any of the excess. This, however, is a quick and dirty technique, so it can help sell a weathered look in our end result. Once you're done, go ahead and grab a drink or beverage and allow the model time to be completely dry. Once the wash is dry, let's grab our starter brush, or any brush with a good point on it, and our black paint, and begin applying it to the casing of our weapon. Go over any of the parts you want to be black, which will help break up the silver of the body, and make sure your weapon will stand out from the rest of the model. Be sure to take your time with this part. With practice, you'll begin to notice improvements in your control of the brush, and if you end up making mistakes, you can always clean up any bits you want to stay silver with our silver paint. In this case, I like to use black Templar contrast paint, as it's a bit thinner than regular black paint, allowing a little bit of the shine from the silver to show through. If I make any mistakes, like you'll see here, you can quickly wipe it away with your finger or a cleaned brush. Once the gun is complete, go ahead and mark the center icon of his chest with black as well. On some of the models, I do find it easier to apply it by turning the model upside down to get a better angle. Getting closer to the finish line here. Let's grab our white paint, starter brush, and give it a good shake and mix it up in the palette. My mixture is pre-watered, so you may want to add a brush load or two of water to make it a little smoother. Keeping a fine point on your brush, dip it in the white paint and wipe off any excess. We don't want too much here. We're looking for about that much that I have on the brush. Then, bracing your hands, we're going to paint the little nodules on the weapon. Be sure to take your time and be as patient as possible. If you notice that there isn't enough paint on your brush, keep reapplying and wiping a bit off, and then keep going as best as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect, as we're going to be covering up all the white with our green glow in the next stage. Now, with as little paint as possible on your brush, use the side of the brush to gently glaze across the icon on the warrior's chest. I like to turn the model completely upside down for the best angle, but be sure to do what makes you most comfortable. If you find that you applied too much, wait for the white to dry, give it another coat of black, and then try it again. now for the fun part. With a little amount of paint on your brush, do the same with the eyes. Even my hands get shaky with this part. Feel free to turn it upside down as well if that suits you best, and don't be afraid if you applied too much. It will help sell the glowing effect of the green when you apply it on the eyes. Alright, we've made it to the final stage. Grab some of that Tesseract Glow and load up your brush with a generous amount. Using your brush as a guide, touch the recesses of the nodes and let the paint flow out and into the cracks, tracing your brush along the lines like I'm doing here. I tend to go back a second time to really fill in the recesses to sell the glow effect, but it's up to you how you want to do it. If you found that you made any mistakes in this process, you should be able to quickly wipe it away with your finger and cause no damage. Once you're done painting the nodules, you can go ahead and block in the cabling while you're at it. You can also opt to paint it black or silver if you prefer. It's entirely up to you. With a small amount on your brush, apply the green glow to his chest emblem using the side of your brush like you did with the white. Don't worry too much about making any mistakes here, as it will give off the impression of it glowing with a black background. Once you've done that, you can give it a little touch of green into the eyes, and if you want a deeper glow, by dropping more into the eye sockets. Any mistakes you make can be wiped away with a finger off the skull, or leave it there. No one will notice the difference on the table. And that's it. Overall painting time for these models took maybe 30 minutes, and as you can see, these guys are looking good, and with a quick base we'll be ready for the battlefield, which will most likely be my next video. I also painted up the Royal Warden, which I will show you here, and can make a future video on if you'd like. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, I would appreciate it if you'd leave a like and drop a comment. If you really enjoyed this video and would like to see my future content, please go ahead and subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching, and stay tuned for more to come.